Knowledge for Men, episode 56.
Welcome to KnowledgeForMen.com, where boys turn into men, where men turn into leaders, into lions, the ferocious few who stand strong, a place where you grow to become the man you were born to be. It's time to take massive action towards the life you want. Get the health, get the relationships, business, and career you've always dreamed of. Achieve a level of success and happiness that you've been searching for so many years. Life has given you enough, and it's time to take a stand and take full control of your life. Stand with us as we interview the most inspiring and successful leaders to give you real-world advice to crush life and awaken the sleeping giant inside of you.
This episode is brought to you by my private online meds group called The Lion's Den. You can check it out at knowledgeformen.com and click on The Lion's Den. If you've been listening to this podcast and you like the content, but find it hard to find other guys out there to relate to, talk to, share your wins and challenges with, maybe you're on your own path of personal development and other guys think it's weird or they're just not interested in what you're doing. You kind of feel like you're alone on this mission, but you're not. There's thousands of other guys out there who are on the same path, and I've been putting together a group called The Lion's Den to try and find these guys, bring them together. Hey, I know it's hard to make the push towards greatness in your life, and I found that the best way to get somewhere you've never been is to surround yourself with other people who are already there or who are on the same path as you. So The Lion's Den does just that. It's a group of men who want to achieve greatness in all areas of life: health, wealth, relationships, and personal growth. Check it out at knowledgeformen.com and click on The Lion's Den. All right, guys, I'm here with Arash Dibazar, author, actor, life coach, creator of the Persian self-defense system, Panjo, and student of Zen Buddhism. Arash, I'm happy to have you on the show.
Thank you very much for having me on the show. It's my honor to be here.
All right, let's roll in with your favorite success quote and why.
Okay, there's a bunch of them, of course, but if I had to pick one overall, I would say it's all in a state of mind. And you'll see this in every business that I have. It's on the wall. It's the first thing I do. I write that on the wall somewhere. And why? Because it really encompasses everything that I've accomplished and everything that I look at. Ultimately, we are filtering the physical universe through our mind. And if you get your mind right, you get your life right.
I like that. It starts with the internal, not the external.
Absolutely.
All right, let's learn more about you, Arash, and how you got started with what you do. So go ahead and share with the audience your journey.
Well, I mean, I would say that it started as a very, very, very young kid, because when I was 3, I told my dad exactly what I was going to be doing. And this is kind of difficult for people to believe, but it doesn't really matter because it's the truth. So I was 3, 4, right around there. I was telling my dad everything that's happening right now would be happening. And at some point I met I'm just going to give you the 3 big milestones. I met a man named Manu Tupou who passed away about 12 years ago. And he was at that time an acting coach in Hollywood, but he was also a very spiritually powerful individual. So he would use acting to teach people how to live. And I was around 17 or 18, and he was the one that you could say opened the cage door that I was in and allowed me to fly and taught me the basic of everything I have. I reference him all the time in my life. And then from there, it was just a matter of continuing to research and develop the confidence to believe in my own vision and move forward. I've been successful in many different areas of life. And it's just what I do. I go and I find the person who is the person that has what I want, is capable of doing what I want to do. And I make it my task to meet them, become their student, and become their best student, learn their art form exactly as they teach it. I believe that's one of my strengths. I'm a great student. And then from there, gain a certain level of expertise and mastery of the art form myself, which then ends up evolving to my own interpretation of whatever it is.
And I like it. And just a little bit more, where did you come from? And what series of events led you to where you are now today? And what kind of lessons did you learn on that journey?
I was born in Tehran, Iran, which is a country in the Middle East. And by the age of, I think, 6 years old, I had to leave the country because there was a revolution there. And I lived in 6 different countries. I got to the United States finally at 11 years old. I was in San Jose, where I'm at right now. And started my journey in the martial arts officially at 11, but at a young age, my cousins would teach me martial arts in Iran, but not official. 11 years old, I started martial arts, seeking certain answers to life. I figured the way they portrayed the masters of the martial arts was the way that I wanted to be growing up. They seemed to have the confidence, the presence of mind, the knowledge that I was seeking. So that's why it attracted me to the martial arts, and I was at some point disillusioned by the fact that all the, in quote, masters that I had met by the time I was 18 were all pretty much arrogant. So I came across Manu, and he invited me to go to LA to study acting, and I was not interested in acting. But then I had the opportunity to work with him because he came to direct some martial arts theater that I was part of, and I got to work with him for 2 weeks. And then I observed in him all the qualities that I was looking for in the martial arts masters. And at that point, I decided it was time to pick everything up. I was going to college. I had a great job. I had a great girlfriend of like 2.5 years. And one day I just called everybody and I said, I'm going to LA tomorrow. So I had $1,300. I remember as I was driving there, they were making plans for me to have a place to stay there. Got there, and once a week, Manu had a class, and he would teach acting, but it wasn't acting because I learned acting, but at the same time, I started to recognize who I am. And that began the journey. So up until now.
Wow, what a bold move you just made right there. And I want to know, what did you really see in this guy Manu that made it so you just up and leave? You were in college, you had a girlfriend, looks like you had a good life going for you, and you just up and left to Los Angeles. What was that moment for you? Why did you do it?
It was something that I saw in Manu, and it's difficult to explain it, but I can tell you that it's the effect that I have right now on a lot of people who come in contact with me. I've had people move from all across the United States to come live in San Jose. I tell them not to do it. I have people from across the world that are contacting me saying, I'm going to leave Australia, I'm going to leave Africa to come and study with you. And I'm like, no. You need to stay where you are, actually. But it's like a flame it's a spark that gets ignited, boom, and nothing made sense suddenly. And the only thing that I wanted to do was to be around Manu Tupo, my teacher, who wasn't even my teacher at the time. And I just knew he had the answer. I just knew. And ever since then, I've come to recognize that the decisions that I've made that have moved my life forward have been the decisions where it wasn't a thought process, it was a knowingness, an intuition. So that's actually how I make all my decisions right now. It takes me about maybe 5 minutes to buy a new car. It takes me about 30 seconds to decide what to eat. There's just no time involved. I try to cut the time frame as much as possible because I either have all the information I need to make a decision right now, or there's not enough information gathered. So if that's the case, instead of trying to decide, what I need to do is gather information. I do know that decision is made in the moment, and when you know, you know. So this is one of the things that the more advanced students around me learn, is that, like my staff members and stuff. And I just tell them, we need to cut out the thinking machine unless we're using it to analyze a situation. That's different. But if we're using it to stop and hinder our movement because we have all these doubts in our head because what others have said, and how are you going to quit school and give up your girlfriend and great. I just did it because it was the right thing to do. And if I could do it again, I would do it again. But this time I wouldn't even hesitate because Manu asked me twice to go study with him in LA. And the first time I was like, oh, no, that's okay. And the second time he said, look, I've already invited you. I only teach a handful of people. It's invitation only. You need to come. And I knew I couldn't even sleep that night. The next day I'm in college. And nothing is making sense. I'm looking at the teacher. I'm going, what the hell is this, man? So we didn't have cell phones at the time, and we had pagers. So I paged my girlfriend. We had these codes, and she met me at the cafeteria. And I said, do you remember this guy, Manu? She's like, yeah. I said, I'm going to go to LA tomorrow. I just need to know if you're going to support me or not. And she was like, oh, okay. And I said, yeah, I'm going to go do this. And then I called my parents. And to my parents, college education, school education was the most important thing. And for me, it is my current understanding of it. And something that I push, I believe it's a complete waste of time. I believe it's a complete miseducation, and it's absolutely destroying the future. So now I can say that with certainty. But, when I was 18 years old and, I hadn't really studied anything yet besides the garbage that they'd given me in school, I had to present it to my parents a certain way. So I called them and I had a meeting with them, and I said to them, I got accepted to the most prestigious acting school in Los Angeles, and I had them look up who Manu Tupo was. I said I would like to be a professional actor. Deep inside, I knew I could give a damn about acting. I just need to go study from that guy. He obviously had something that was visibly very powerful. The way he communicated, the way he carried himself, and most importantly, the way that he made other people feel when they were around him was observably incredibly powerful. So I got to witness that for 2 weeks, and I knew that I had met a true master of an art form. And that began my whole upward spiral instead of downward spiral, because I believe everyone's going downwards in life. They're going backwards. So after meeting Manu, it reversed the thing, and I started to go back upwards.
Yeah, I like that. And what stood out to me just right now is your ability to quickly make decisions.
And you see, I think a lot of people will really, sleep on a decision or really just sit on an opportunity, and it's going to go away. It's going to go by. And you make those decisions very quickly. And I'm wondering if there's a correlation here between your martial arts training, because having trained Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a few years, I know that you have to make a decision. You don't have time to think, because if you think, you're going to die. You're going to get tapped out. Well, it's like a fake death. It's just the tap out. And so in martial arts, you have to quickly make decisions and then go with whatever decision you made, whether it's a consequence or not, whether it benefits you or not, you have to go with it. So has martial arts helped you in that realm?
Now it does. Well, you see, by the time I met Manu, I was a world-recognized martial artist. I was a national champion 2 times over, and it was in the art of Taekwondo, and I was recognized. I traveled the world doing martial arts. That was part of the reason that I met Manu. But it was incorrectly taught to me. The martial arts that I learned taught me hesitation at the time. So then after getting myself together, right, now, like when I teach it, or then I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu about 11 and a half years ago. Yes, short answer, it can. Anything can. I know that I can teach someone how to do ballet or paint their nails or write an essay. And because the basic principles are the same. It's the principles of living. This is what I was so attracted to my whole life, So it's important to recognize, yes, martial arts can have it. But if it's taught wrong, though, it doesn't.
I see. And what was it about Manu's presence that really, you said his presence just impacted a lot of people, just the energy that he gave off. Can you talk more about that?
Oh, one word, man. He had certainty about what he knew. He knew what he knew, and there was no doubt about it. What he knew and what he spoke of, it reminds me of Socrates, a life that's unexamined is not a life worth living, or something like that, I'm paraphrasing. But Manu knew what he knew, and there was no doubt about it. And this is now something, I carry Manu's legacy, on my back now. And this is something that I'm very certain of. Before we even got into this interview, I told you, I never have a script. I don't know, and I don't care. Because why? Because I know what I know, and I'm going to speak on what I know. And because of that, I had never seen a man be so certain of who he is, what he's doing, and what he knows until I met Manu. And it was so attractive to me. The description was like standing next to an enormous, enormous ocean, like the Pacific Ocean. You could just feel the depth of the man. And you could just see that as far as you are capable of seeing, that's how far you could see into the ocean. You could look at the top and say, wow, look at it from now. You could snorkel, you could get down lower, you could get in a submarine. But it's up to you how far deep down you can go to see the truth. And that's what he had, and that's the legacy that was passed down to me from him. And I think that's the difference. Up until then, I had seen a bunch of robots, people walking around acting like they knew, but they were unsure of their knowledge. But this man knew 100% what he knew.
Certainty is just really powerful and attractive trait. I mean, it's like when you go to a doctor and he's certain that this is this is the diagnosis, this is the problem. You feel very confident in the medication. You feel very confident leaving the doctor's office versus if he's kind of flustered, he's not really sure, very low value body language or negative body language. You're not very certain in his diagnosis. And, it really has a difference. And even with sales, if you're certain that this product can help someone, or if you're uncertain this product can help someone, it shows. So do you have, it's a really good skill to have. And so I'm wondering if you have any advice for guys out there on how they can become more certain in their life.
Yes. The first thing, unless you're going to be a very specific profession, like you're going to be a doctor, a brain surgeon or something like that, unless you have that fully picked out and your profession requires you to go through school and university and all that, you need to get out of school right now, because you are completely being miseducated and you are just storing a bunch of data that's unnecessary. Now, you have to educate yourself. I'm all for education. But the difference is when your education is directed by you, then you study exactly what it is that you want that applies to your life. See, I study about 6 to 7 hours a day, 7 days a week right now. On a bad day, maybe 4 hours. It's just what I do. If I'm not teaching, I'm studying. Simple. Because of that, everything that I study is directly related to my purpose in life. So there is no need for me to take courses or do things that are unnecessary. And we're fortunate to live in a time where we have access to all kinds of information. So the first thing to regain your certainty is to just stop the garbage education that you're getting. Then, number 2, related, go seek out the information that you want. And what's your clue? Is there's a desire deep in each one of us. That desire that's been stepped on, dirt thrown on it, told you it's no good. Oh God, what are you going to do that for the rest of your life? Yes, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, actually. And you find the desire and you rekindle it. You rekindle the fire and you go after it and you find the information and you keep searching for the relative truth of that subject. The subject you want to know, find the truth in it. That's it. You're never going to know everything about life, but there are certain things that you yourself are moved and inspired to go find. Great. Go find it. It's your responsibility to educate yourself. It's nobody else's responsibility. A lot of people are getting educated because their parents told them, or this is the thing to do to get a job or whatever. That's irresponsible. It's immature and it's not correct. So that's how you gain your certainty.
So gain certainty through self-education.
Educate yourself on what you want to know. And we have access to computers and Google and all that other stuff and YouTube, and you just go to the bookstore. Just study what it is that you need to know. Don't study all this other stuff, because how can you be certain of anything when they're telling you that Christopher Columbus discovered America and Thanksgiving is a holiday? No, lie. And I've been around the world, 6 different countries I lived in, and everywhere you go, the history changes. It's just who wrote it. You have to be more than 8 years old to understand the truth in what I said. So then you have a bunch of people who are walking around not knowing anything, and they expect to get results like I am when it comes to business or martial arts or women. Are you kidding me? It's impossible. An animal, a tree, any living creature can feel the difference between a man who's fully convicted and knows what's going on and knows who he is, and another one who's just parroting things, because the certainty is here. They still have to compromise. They still have to keep somebody else happy. And I'm telling you, if you don't take care of yourself first, if you're not aware of what your purpose in your life is and you don't fulfill that, then you're always going to be broken. But the moment that you know it, then everything starts aligning itself in your life.
And what about the guys out there listening who are, yes, I want this, and they want to have that level of conviction, that level of certainty, and know their path and purpose, but they just haven't found it yet, and they're still searching? What kind of advice do you have for those guys listening right now?
Okay, I know this for a fact. We all knew our purpose between the age of 3 and 4. We've all known it. We have all known it. Now, you just got to go back to that time. Like I said, I told my parents a long time ago, and we all have it during that time. The problem is that purpose, when we announce our purpose at a young age, then people tell us, oh, that's cute, or that's your imagination, or no. Because if there was a man who sat down, let's say 300 years ago and said, I want to fly. Yeah, okay, what does that mean? I want to fly. And I want to fly in a giant metal object. Like, you know how impossible it is that the airplanes are flying right now? And can you imagine how ridiculous it must have sounded when the Wright brothers created the airplane? Or any other invention that exists right now? The fact that you and I are talking through a computer right now is impossible. And so the fact of the matter is, it's at that very young age that we have these desires, but then we're told you can't do it. Okay, I should not be able to do everything I'm doing right now. It's literally impossible the way that I'm running my life. But you know what? It's exactly aligned with who I am. So we are all very unique, and we all know what's going on. So when a person says to me, I don't know my purpose, I say, no, that's not true. You knew it a long time ago. You still know it. What is it that when you think about it gives you that excitement, that energy, that enthusiasm, and you go, man, and then you talk yourself out of it, and you go, I can't do that. I'm too old. It takes too much money. It won't make me any money. No one's going to like me. There you go. There's the problem. The problem is you know it, and then you invalidate what you know. You need to know it, and then you need to own it. Own it. It is what it is. I'm speaking from right now of I've achieved everything I set out to achieve. So now I have a bunch of brand new goals. And if I announce them, which I won't, they seem impossible. They're beyond possible now. I can tell you what I will accomplish before my life is over has never, ever, ever been done on planet Earth on many different levels. And that's what I'm going for. So I'm either dead or I'm in the process of getting it. Or I've gotten it and now it's time to make some new goals. Because that's the process of living. That's all it is. So everyone knows their purpose, man. Everybody knows. And if they can't, then I tell you what, they should lock themselves in a room for 2-3 days and not do anything else until they figure it out. Because otherwise, what are you doing? What are you doing? Living a life of somebody else's purpose? What? That doesn't even make any sense to me. How are you living your life when you don't know what you're here to do? And it's not, I'm not giving you some hocus pocus outside of yourself force, whether there is or whether there isn't. I'm saying you have the final choice on the subject. You decide what it is that you want to do with your life, and you move on it, and you move on it. And the rest of your life is spent with that purpose in mind. And if it's a purpose that moves you, I guarantee it'll move other human beings, because we're more similar than people know we are. So if it's moving you to think about it, it's going to move other human beings too.
And Arash, do you have any examples in your own journey of when you've done just that?
I quit college, and when I decided to open a martial arts academy, my martial arts instructor at the time and I broke off on bad terms. I was 21 years old, no college education, like a year and a half of just stupid general education. And people started coming to me, do you have a business plan? Do you have this? And I was like, you need to shut up. Here's what I have. I'm going to need to borrow some money. So my dad helped me get a loan. And then I opened a business. And currently right now, I have one of the #1 martial arts and fitness academies in the Bay Area, and it's expanding to the world. So what am I supposed to do? Go do a business call? And people come to me now. I have a bunch of people that come to me now like, oh, I want to start this. Some girl was telling me the other day she wants to open a spa. I said, so what are you doing? She goes, I'm getting my business degree. I go, for what reason? She goes, I want to open a spa. I said, they don't go together. They don't go together. That's a myth that you're supposed to get a degree to open this. No, it's not the way it works. Look, all you got to do is look at the conditions. This is what I teach my staff members. There's no mystery here. You just look. People are teaching economics in school, yet the economics of the nation suck. So guess what? They need to get rid of all the economic teachers and put somebody there like a Bill Gates or a Donald Trump, and that person needs to teach economics. Somebody who can do the job. There's all kinds of psychologists and psychiatrists running around in the world today, but then there's more and more crazy people in the world today. There's more cops in the world today, yet there's more crime in the world today. Like, give me a break, okay? Obviously, what's being taught is incorrect. And then you have the very few people who seem to be going against the grain, yet getting things done. And when you talk to them, they're just like laughing, going, are you an imbecile? Like, why do you think you need that? Let's go, and all the viewers can do this test for themselves. Take the 10 richest people that you can do your own research, 10 richest people in the world, and find out how many of them made that money from their college education. And I'm willing to bet not one of them did. Not one of them did. I bet you. So if you think that school education is going to get you money, I don't know where you're looking, but you're not looking at the facts. That's for sure. Go look up all the psychologists that you know and find out how crazy they are and how crazy their children are. And then you tell me if you need to go study psychology, or just go to the bookstore and pick up some books by some people who demonstrate that they are sane, that they are getting the results that you want. Like I admire Anthony Robbins and Eckhart Tolle and Wayne Dyer and Zig Ziglar. And the names go on and on and on. These are the men we have to study, because they've proven beyond a doubt that they can change their own lives and they can change the lives of others. So we would do real well if we just opened our eyes and observed, instead of, well, I heard this, I heard that. No, it's not what you heard. It's what you observed for yourself. Learn to observe for yourself the conditions around you, and then it's much easier. Life is simple. It's not difficult. It's amazing that it's become so difficult, but again, we're going off of information that's incorrect, so you're going to make incorrect decisions based on incorrect data.
All right, Arash, I understand where you're coming from. And coming from the School of Hard Knocks yourself, I can see your view on that. And myself, I value education. I got a 4-year degree here in San Diego, and I can attest that there is some value in education. However, I will admit that a lot of the courses I took were a noise, and that they haven't helped me get to where I want to be in my own life. But I will say that because you went to the School of Hard Knocks, and because maybe that route that you chose, it is a challenging route. Let's hear some of the, a major challenge that you had to overcome on your journey doing this, through the School of Hard Knocks, just trial and error and learning the hard way. So share with the audience a major challenge and how you overcame that.
Every single day I encounter failure. Every single day I encounter failure. I mean, I can't count how many failures I've had. I have more failures than I do successes, really. I just keep going until I succeed, because I know what my goal is. So let's say on the goal to getting a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it took 11 and a half years. Oh my God. See, I got that black belt only one time, that one day. But for 11 and a half years, I failed every day to get that black belt. I mean, I got my ass kicked every day. So does it matter that I broke this, broke that, got tapped a million times, didn't want to show up to training? It doesn't really matter, does it? Because I'm a black belt now. I got what I wanted. So on the way to success, all there is failures, but no one remembers the failures once you win. No one cares, the gold medalist, how many times they lost. All they care is they're now a gold medalist. And the only thing people remember is when you win. So all I think about is my success. In the process, way too many failures. For 8.5 years, I was broke when I opened my own business. Like literally broke. I had no money at all. But now I've been in business for 15 years, and by no means am I broke right now. I make good money.
All right, let's take a step back here. And first, Arash, a lot of respect to you for having a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's a huge achievement that very few people will let alone train Jiu-Jitsu and get their blue belt, let alone go all the way and stick it through and get their black belt. So a lot of respect for you right there. And you've trained for a few years, so I know what it's like on the mat, and just I have family that trains as well. And I'm actually just watching my brother just get ready right now to go train right now. And now, you said you didn't have a lot of money for 8 years.
No, broke. I was broke. There's a difference not making money. I was completely broke.
Exactly. Broke. No money. And, a lot of entrepreneurs have been there, and hopefully you're only there once. But a lot of people won't keep going. Okay. And that's a common theme that I'm seeing with you, is that you keep going and that you persist through all the hard stuff, all the tough times, jiu-jitsu and business. And you're also a dating coach. So I know that you've gone through some challenges with massive rejections with women, and consistently bringing it all back together and going back out each day and going out and building your business and going back and getting beat up on the mat. And I got to ask you, what drives you? Like, what keeps you going so that the guys listening can apply this and use this in their own life?
This is something that I've looked at a lot. This morning, right before this, I was in a yoga class. And I woke up this morning. Yoga is my new activity that I've been doing. And I woke up, and the first thing I said to my girlfriend is, I'm not doing yoga today. And then I justified it by saying, I have this interview that I'm looking forward to, and blah, 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 blah. So anyways, I lay in bed when I wake up in the morning, and first thing I do is I study. So I started studying, and it started to change the frequency of my thoughts. And then suddenly I started eating, and I looked at the time, and I said, man, I could make the yoga class. But by then I didn't really want to go. So I ended up going to yoga today, right? And I asked myself that question when I was in there. I was like, well, how the hell did I end up here again today, And I realized that I have a very clear image in my mind of what I want. And that image has to be brighter, stronger, bigger, and more important than all the little reasons why I can't do it. And it's really important. Now, I've used many things. A few of the things that drive me. I have this huge tattoo on my shoulder on the back. It says, pain is my salvation. And this came about because I had my heart devastatingly broken at some point, as all men do. And two choices there. One, to just break down and not be able to live. The other, to figure out a way out and make sure I never put myself in that situation again. Yesterday, I got this news that some guy in town was looking for me, wants to confront me and beat me up. When you live the life I live and you're in public eye and you have as many women as I do, this is something I have to deal with. I have to look over my shoulder. As sad as it sounds, it is what it is. Okay, it comes with it. So I know that me doing my yoga training will actually help me defend myself, believe it or not. So I use the threat of having to watch my back to train. I use the motivation of never going through the pain again. I use the idea that I don't want any of my family or close friends to ever be under the suppression and duress of this planet and society. And I feel like I am the one who's strong enough to handle everything for them. So I am driven to make sure that myself and the people closest to me survive at the highest levels. Now, I don't know why I have that drive. I don't know why I have it, but I have it. And I think it's more important that I have it than to know why. Because there's a million people that could sit there and be like, well, I was just having a conversation with a girl before this, and she was telling me why she can't change an activity that she's doing. And I was like, I don't care why you can't change it. Who cares why you can't change? That's your problem. Is you have all the reasons why you can't. I don't care why I can. I don't care why I can't. I care that it needs to get done. That's it, man. So there's a driving impulse in me that's been here, and it grows. And I cannot face myself at the end of the night, put my head down and rest, if I know that I didn't do what I had to do. And I'm like a madman when it comes to knowledge and understanding and success. And I think that's how anybody who's ever achieved anything has been. They've been obsessed. And I am fully obsessed with what I do. Fully. And I'm not happy unless I'm obsessed with it.
And is this something you were always like growing up, or just always
obsessing and all in.
All out, full obsession. The difference is that up until maybe even a year ago, which is I'm 37 now, up until a year ago, I still didn't have my own rhythm down. Is something that Manu would tell me. So what I mean by that is, for example, what I did achieve my black belt in jiu-jitsu, I had the realization that if I could do it again, I would go from white belt to black belt in a completely different manner. And that really sucks to know that or say that, but it's the truth. Because once again, it's different the way I feel about life than everybody else does. And I feel that I have compromised myself in the process of learning the martial arts and everything. So I've been obsessed, but the problem has been there's always been this tiny factor in there where it hasn't been fully myself, if that makes sense. Now, recently, as of about a year ago or so, I've now come to recognize more what my own personal rhythm is, like my own music. And even though people could admire me my whole life, I've accomplished a lot of things. I feel that it's only been in the last year that I've really started to live my life. It took me 36 years to get to the point where I'm like, okay, now I know what I'm about.
And what does that really mean to you to really live? And what are you experiencing now that you weren't experiencing before?
Good question. There's different kinds of music: heavy metal, reggae, jazz, pop, R&B. And there's a certain kind of music that when you listen to it, it really speaks to your soul. And you could appreciate other kinds of music, but there's a certain kind that you just want to play it by yourself and just feel great. Okay, good. I consider that a rhythm. And you could say that currently in my life, I'm now listening always. I'm on my own channel finally. Whereas before I had to play some aggressive heavy metal just so I could hold off the environment, and I got really good at playing heavy metal, and then I got really good at playing jazz and all that other stuff. Now I found my channel. So I'm tuned in to my own channel 90% of the day, I would say. When you asked me what failures have I experienced, the thing that popped in my mind, I said every day, I experience failure when my state of mind shifts and goes from the frequency that I'm on, which feels great just to be alive. It feels great to sit here. It feels great to drive, to hang out with people, to have a conversation. I'm having a great time talking right now. So as long as I'm in my own frequency and my own vibration, and I'm truly expressing who I am and my truth, the sensation of living is pleasant. And when it becomes a little jagged, it's like there's interruption in the flow of the channel. Suddenly it's like, and the music's not coming through. So that's the best way I can describe it. I'm now listening to my own music throughout the day, whether there's somebody around or not. And people enjoy being around me. My seduction is at a level, I swear to you, it's beyond Jedi and Sith Lord level. It's not real to people what I can do when it comes to affecting another human being. And doesn't mean I go around doing it all the time. I think that's one of the things that people misunderstand. They think just because you have a certain power, you would exercise it. It's actually not the case. The case is you have to have a certain level of responsibility, and you have to trust yourself with a certain level of power in order to get it. So when people look at me, and I get that they freak out because people have seen me out before, and I've demonstrated certain skills, and you just see them, and they're just like, wow, like, is that how you're so successful in life? I say, no, kind of. I calibrated way down. If I could do 100 points of energy, I only put out, let's say, 25. And people are like, well, why? I said, because it's not right, actually. It's just not right. And I can't describe any other way. But this brings us to a certain point. Your own personal ethics is vital on this journey of life. When you don't compromise what you know is right and wrong, not what others told you is right and wrong, you see? What you know is right and wrong. You have to know your own set of values, and you cannot, and you should never, ever compromise those for anybody. I have my own set of ethics, and I will not compromise them for anybody. So that keeps me strong. As long as that's there, I feel untouchable. When that breaks, there's a hole in my protective force field or shield.
Okay, just to clarify a little bit more, you said your seduction is on a Jedi level. You said Sith Lord.
Yeah.
I'm interested now in your philosophy on, attracting women, seduction. I guess you can call this quote unquote game.
I'll give a few points which I know are missed in the world of seduction that are particular to us. And whether people want to agree or not, I'm a living example of it. There's nobody in the game, besides Hugh Hefner. But you know what? I have more going for me than Hugh Hefner. Because his women love him for his money. My women love me for my mind. There's a difference. Big difference. They're in love with my mind. So one of the rules that is vital for seduction and game, pick up anything, is you do not hit on the woman. God, that just sounds so backwards, but it's so true. It's the first thing I have to teach the guys who really want to get good. Do not hit on the woman. And this applies to sales. If you're a salesman, don't ever sell anything. Don't ever sell anything. The greatest salesman will tell you this thing. The customer will buy it themselves. It's not your job to sell anything. And as a seduction artist, it is not your job to pick her up. It's your job to trigger the right emotions, create the right scenarios, be the right person. She will go out of her way and beg you to have sex with her. Beg you. Imagine that. And there's no limit to what's possible. This is why when a person does a one-on-one session with me, I ask them, I say, if you had a magic lamp, genie lamp, no limitations, what would you want to do with these skills? And they're normally very small. I want to find a girl and maybe have a girl. I'm like, wow, really? I just gave you a spaceship to go from here to Mars, and you're telling me that you want to go from here to the grocery store with it. That's ridiculous. Let's start again. There's no limit to this thing. The reason I'm successful at everything is I understand seduction. I was lecturing a couple days ago. I said to them, I'm no longer a fighter, because to be a fighter, you fight every day, and I don't fight every day. I'm not a this, I'm not that. I said, but if someone asked me, what is your profession? I said, I would say that I'm a professional seducer. Doesn't mean I walk around and seduce all the women in the world. It means that seduction goes way beyond women. Seduction is moving the mind, and I can move the mind like it's no one's business. And that's where my research is right now. Higher and higher and higher levels of that. I'm addicted to it. My new saying, we've had all these sayings. It went in 3 phases. My first saying was, be the best, fuck the rest. And that took us a while. Then there was another saying, which is another phase of our life, and it was, you don't look for me, motherfucker, I look for you. And that was a whole other thing, and I could break that down into a formula for a person and change their life with both of those. The new one, that is where I'm at right now, it's very clear. It says, I love the way your mind tastes. And that encapsulates me and my art form right now. And I'm going to take this art to levels that's never been taken before, because it's already there. It's just I can only teach so much of it right now. And then move on to the next phase. But as of right now, it's a full obsession. It's 6-7 hours a day of study, of understanding, because it's like magic, man. It's like real magic. I grew up admiring magic, but not stage magic. This is like real magic. If there was magic, this is it. It's the magic of changing somebody's mind and getting them to think and see and feel what you want them to think and see and feel. And how much would that be worth it to someone, you see? If someone gave me right now $10 million and said, I will give you $10 million and I'll take away your skills, but you can never get them back. Take your $10 million and shove it up your butt. It's not going to happen. There's no amount of money that could ever do it. Nothing. Because the skills are so valuable. My God.
And earlier you just mentioned that you could change someone's life if they understood this term.
Yeah, there's 3 different... We have all these sayings that encapsulate their formulas. It's all in a state of mind. If you could live forever, what would you live for? Be the best, fuck the rest. You don't look for me, motherfucker, I look for you. I love the way your mind tastes. Fear no one. People need to be able to know their philosophy like this. It has to be in the tip of their mind. If I ask you, what are you about? If you ask me, give me one sentence that encapsulates your seduction, I would say, I love the way your mind tastes. And I could then tell you that everything comes from that. If you said to me, give me one sentence that puts together your sense and idea of martial arts, I would say, you don't look for me, motherfucker, I look for you. Oh, okay. Give me one statement that tells me about your life. Everything you do, I would say, it's all in a state of mind. That's what you asked me in the beginning. Give me one sentence that encapsulates the way you train people and your businesses and all that. I would say, be the best and f the rest. Oh, I get it. You see? There you go. So now these are things that you could align your life with them. And it's important that we have that. People don't have stable philosophies. They don't have stable points of knowledge. To them, all knowledge is equal. It's not. What I just said is senior in my life. So if I'm facing a man or a woman or a business or anything, the first thing I do is I go into their mind. I love the way your mind tastes. And that doesn't make me a homosexual, because that's how I feel about men also. That's how I feel about when I'm studying. Okay, here's an example. I'm looking at my screen and it says Knowledge for Men. This is the name of your show. If I'm studying knowledge for men, if I'm in this listening to your stuff, I would be able to taste the flavor and the texture of the people you interview. And I can tell you the flavor of Eckhart Tolle and the flavor of Anthony Robbins, or, I know Robert Greene you had on the show. There's a flavor to their mind. You see, there's a flavor to them. And that's my seduction. So once you start understanding that you need to have these statements in your life, people around the world have adopted a lot of mine. Be the best. The rest is all over the place right now. And I heard Manu say that once. He said that once. He was just in passing, he said it. But it hit so hard for me. And I wrote I have, as we're sitting here, I have the journal actually right next to me. I wrote it really big on the journal, be the best, fuck the rest. And that guided my life. Everything I did, I was like, I'm just going to be the best at it. It's no longer good enough to be okay at something. It's no longer good enough to be kind of good. You have to be the best at what you do. And that's a qualified statement. Like, some people say I'm the best pickup artist and seduction artist in the world. Okay, well, I was voted that, but I know there's people that can, like, to me, mystery is the best. It's just at the top, it's like a group of Avengers. You got the Hulk, you got Thor, you got Iron Man, you got Captain America. They're all incredible. They just specialize in their own power. And when I train someone, I want to find their power. They can't do me. Nobody can do Arash Dibazar the way I do me. Everybody has to find their own true voice. And when you find it, and then you surround yourself with people like this, we're changing the culture, man.
And that's a really good point. You see a lot of guys, trying to imitate other guys. And I think that's good for a while. You see what works, so you kind of imitate that person. You start developing those skills. But really, at some point, you have to be authentic. Like, there's a Bruce Lee quote, take what is useful, discard the rest, and then make it uniquely your own. I think that's true not only with just, women, your personality, but in business as well, and finding your own voice. It's so powerful. I like the Avengers analogy there. That's great. And now let's enter the knowledge round. Are you ready, Arash?
I'm ready. Boom. Ready.
All right, I want to give you more details about the Lion's Den. It's a private Facebook group where you post your goals in health, wealth, relationships, and personal growth. The guys hold you accountable, and you have a place where you can get instant feedback from other high-performing men from around the world. You can get more details at knowledgeformen.com and click on the Lion's Den. There's men's coaches in there, there's dating coaches, fitness coaches, millionaires, guys with startups, guys who just graduated college and are happy to be surrounded by so many guys just making it happen for themselves. There's fathers in there, military personnel, and just all walks of life from all over the world. 70 guys strong right now and growing every day. But the one thing that we all have in common is that we just want to achieve greatness. We want to push ourselves. We want to challenge ourselves. We want to really just become the men we want to become and do it not alone. We don't want to do this journey, take this path alone. We want to do it together with other men. And that's what I find so powerful about this group. We also do monthly Google Hangouts, which is sort of like an online meetup with about 12 guys in each hangout. So you can meet all these guys and build stronger relationships with other high-performing men. And there's also a structure to each hangout. Guys, this group only costs $19 a month for a limited time. You can get more details, and you can set up a consultation with me at knowledgeformen.com and click on the Lion's Den and get started from there.
Welcome to the Knowledge Round, where the guests will be asked rapid-fire questions to give the audience invaluable pieces of wisdom to help transform their lives. Starting in 3, 2, 1, showtime.
All right, Arash, what advice would you give to someone who's feeling lost or unsure of their purpose?
Okay, you're not alone. Welcome to planet Earth, circa 2014. This is the condition of the world. You're not the only one. However, do know that there's hope and others have found a way. So it's up to you and how much effort and energy you spend. If you really want to get out of it, you will. But it's not particular to you. You're not the only one feeling that. Just knock next door or drive down the street, look at the car next to you. Everybody's feeling that. There's very few people who have found it. If you want to find it, you can too. But it's not a free handout in this world.
All right. And Arash, what was holding you back from becoming the man you are now today?
Ooh, what a powerful question. Myself, there's nothing else. There's nothing outside of you that can hold you back. There's just no way. I am still holding myself back because I'm still obviously evolving. This is the internal process of learning and being in life. I am where I'm at because of all the breaks I've released in my life, and I'm still held back by certain ideas and beliefs that I have, and that's my task every day.
All right, and so this next question is going to be about a mentor. Like, have you had a mentor in your life, which obviously it's Manu, and I know you've spoken a lot about him so far in this episode, but is there a specific moment where he said something to you that just changed everything? And if so, please share that with us.
There was a few of them, but one that really, really sticks out in my mind is he said to me, I was looking for a book my entire life. I've been looking for this one book, and I've been to bookstores, I've browsed, I mean, everything. And I was eating with him one time, and I started telling him about it, and he looked at me, and he said, he used these words, but I'll have to explain what the words mean. He said to me, I said, it's about this subject. He said, you are the basic on the subject. And what that meant was, you are the origination point of it. You are the one you're looking for. So the book that I was looking for is the book that I need to write. I had the knowledge already, but I was looking outside of myself for the book, and that's why I couldn't find it. But it was something that I already knew.
Okay, speaking of books, the next question is, what are your 3 most influential books that have had the largest impact on your life, and why?
The number one book and the only book that I recommend to people, and I get asked this all the time, is the book Dianetics by L. Ron Hubbard. And there's been a lot of bad press about L. Ron Hubbard and this and that, and I could care less what people think. The book Dianetics absolutely 100% is essential for anybody on planet Earth. After that, as we're talking, my wall is lined with books all over the place. Everywhere I go, in my car, there's 5 books right now, everywhere. So after that, that's the only book I recommend. Right after that, I would say, any subject that moves you, go find books on that subject. I can't tell anybody else because people are moved by different things. But for me, Dianetics is vital because everybody's dealing with their mind, and the information on the mind in that book is very, very accurate, and it'll give you a big understanding of who you are.
All right, and scenario here for you, Arash, and if you could go back in time and you had 60 seconds with your 20-year-old self, what would you tell him to do, and what would you tell him not to do?
Great questions, man. I would tell my 20-year-old self to study game right now, whenever that was, and become a master at it. I would say you need to handle this part of your life because until then you're always, no matter how much money you make, no matter what you could do, you're always going to be a slave to the opposite sex. So handle this part of your life first, then move into everything else, because otherwise you're going to do things and be a certain ways only to impress the opposite sex, and you're going to be failing miserably. So get that part down. So that's the do. And I would say the don't is, don't ever, ever, ever cut your own personal truth just because you want people to like you. Like, you have to just stop that as soon as possible, because you have to express and reveal who you are, and then people can genuinely like you or not like you based on who you are. I do know that people in my life like me for me, and the people who don't like me, thank God I know they don't like me because they don't like me for me.
And what separates you from the other dating coaches, seduction coaches, or if you want to call them pickup artists, if you will?
That's very important, because if a person takes 5 minutes to talk to me or is around me, they would know exactly what separates. So it's been 59 minutes, 11 seconds so far in this interview, or maybe a little bit less because we talked earlier. If in this time people can't figure out that I'm 100% on another level than those guys, I could tell them I could hit them in the head with the truth, with the baseball bat of truth. They still won't get it. So that's the true answer. One time I did an audition for the Power Rangers in Los Angeles, and I actually landed the role of the Red Power Ranger. And there was thousands of people auditioning. And they would take us in herds in this room and line up against the wall. And they were great martial artists, so we would go in front of the camera, and then they would slate your name, turn to the left, right, and then they would say, okay, show us what you got. And people would just kick and fly and kick, Power Ranger style moves. And here I am waiting in line to go do my thing. And then the casting director would say to them, okay, thank you. And the person would always try to do like 5 more moves, get out their last little great move. Then my turn came. And I did 3 moves, 3 jump kick, 1, 2, 3 in a row, 1, 2, 3. I landed into the splits. And then I did a kip up, which is you go from your back to your standing feet without your hands. And I stood there. And I said, that's it. And the casting director said, like this. She goes, that's it? I said, that's it. She goes, are you sure? I said, let me explain to you that if in those 4 moves you can't tell that I'm better than everybody who just came, I go, I could do 10 minutes of moves. You still wouldn't be able to tell what my skill level is. I said, you should judge on skill level, not how long someone goes. And I walked off. I got the job.
Congratulations. And Arash, what's one underrated characteristic that you believe every person should work on, and if they did, they'd see significant results?
100% communication. There's 2 keys to life and being able to unlock what I can do. And the 2 keys are communication and imagination. And start with communication. Communication, people are terrible at it. They're not even at level 0, which is where we should start. See, level 0 would be you can say what you feel inside, which makes sense. You feel this, you should be able to say it. People can't even do that. They start at negative. So that's how far behind they are. And one of the ways that we can tell how intelligent creatures, any living creature is by their ability to communicate. So if we find a monkey that can sign language, we're like, oh my God, suddenly that monkey might have a little bit more rights than the grasshopper, who we can't even understand what it's doing. So same thing with humans. You have to learn to communicate, and it's very underrated. It is the most important quality when it comes to living, is you have to be able to communicate. That's it, man. And it's amazing how many people graduate master's degree in communication. I have a few of those people around me who are complete morons when it comes to communicating.
They're philosophers of communication.
They can break it down, but they can't do it.
And now just going in deeper, what's your philosophy on life and success, Arash?
My philosophy on life is that we're all, let me tell you my observation on life, because that's really what it is. We are all struggling on this planet. The best of us are struggling on this planet. So that means everyone's struggling, and there's something's up, obviously. And we are not going to get anywhere unless we start to help each other. So help is very important. And something that's very unique to me, because those two things I think have been said, but there's something that I looked at the other day, and I said, this is probably going to be one of the things that I'm really going to change on this planet before I go. I don't think that bad, evil, rude, inconsiderate people should be tolerated. I think they should be put in their place. So I won't tolerate them. You see, my Facebook, my Twitter, my YouTube, I easily get rid of people. And if someone comes at me in a hateful way, I shine a light on them. Because, see, at some point, Hitler was a hateful person. No one stopped him. There's a bunch of people in our history. So you can't just be okay with people hating. It's not okay. And that's a big part of philosophy, because we're only going to have peace, and we're going to support each other, and we're going to try to get better if we prevent the minority, the few that ruin things for people, if we just put them in their place. I think good people need to speak up, because normally good people are quiet and we hear the criminals. A criminal should shake in their boots when they walk into a community that I'm part of. If they walk into my neighborhood, they should know that every house will do everything they can to apprehend the criminal. Then there goes that neighborhood is safe suddenly. And it should be like that. We need to take control of our environments and safeguard it against people who have bad intentions, and know that there's very few of them compared to people with good intention. So people are more good than bad, but the good people need to speak up, because we're only hearing the bad people, and that's not okay with me.
Yeah, I like that. More people need to stand up. More people need to rise. More good people need to rise. I like that. And as we're coming to a close here in the knowledge round, Arash, do you have any parting piece of guidance, or how about a final short story for all the listeners today?
Yeah, I have a short story. It was a story of Diogenes, which was a Greek philosopher. And there's a few stories of his that I use in my life, and one of them I think would be pertinent to right now. Diogenes used to live naked, and they used to call him Diogenes the dog. And one day he was by the side of the river, and this is the time when they would trade slaves. And there was 2 or 3 robbers, and they're looking at him. They're like, let's steal that guy. Let's bonk him over the head, shackle him up, and take him to the market and sell him, because he's in good shape. He'd walk around naked. He lived off nature. And Diogenes senses that they're saying that. He looks over to them, and he's like, come over here. And they get all nervous. He says, come over here. And they kind of walk up, kind of shy. They were going to just attack him. And he says, do you guys want to sell me? Is that what's going on? He goes, well, I tell you what. I'll just come with you. He goes, I have nothing to do. And they're like, really? He says, yeah, I'll come with you. I'll walk in front of you. So they walk to the marketplace, and he's like, there's no need to shackle me. I'll just walk up. So they walk up, and eventually it's his turn to get on the podium. And normally when the slaves get on the podium, the person who's auctioning them says, so-and-so is, let's say, 6'1". When Diogenes gets up, he tells the announcer, he pauses him, he goes, be quiet. And he looks at the crowd, and he opens his arms wide with a big smile and good posture. And he says to the crowd, here stands a master, pointing to himself. Here stands a master ready for any slave to purchase. And he points to them. And everybody kind of murmurs. And he goes, here is a master for any slave to purchase. Well, in the back of the crowd was an emperor, one of the kings. And he gets fascinated. And he purchases Diogenes. So as Diogenes and him are riding in the carriage away, the emperor's wife is there too. And the emperor looks at Diogenes, who looks very comfortable and relaxed with a big smile on his face. And he's like, what did you mean when you said, here's a master for any slave? You have nothing. I'm a king. Diogenes says, well, you see, 3 men tried to steal me to make some money. He goes, they got paid, and I'm here, on my own will. He goes, no one makes me do what I don't want to do. And he goes, in fact, you may think you're an emperor. He says, however, the whole time I've been in the carriage, your wife has been desiring me. And the emperor looks at the wife, and he looks at Diogenes, and Diogenes, very relaxed, says, that's right. She's been looking at me. She's been desiring me because I'm a master. And the emperor takes out his sword and puts it to the wife's throat. And he says, be honest with me. If you're truthful, I give you my word that I'll spare your life. He says, but should I find out that you lie, or should I feel that you're lying to me, I will cut your head right now. Is it true what this man says right now? Do you desire this naked slave? And the empress looks at him, and she starts crying, and she says, my lord, it's true. He might be naked, but there's something about him, and I have been fantasizing about him the whole time. So the emperor stops the chariot, tells her to get off. Tell Diogenes, get off the chariot. You're too dangerous. Diogenes walks away, goes back to the lake he was sitting at, and lives his life. And this is the end of story. And this is a story that really affected me, because here's a man who just took 100% responsibility for who he was. And there's another story that goes with it. It's short. Alexander the Great has been known to say that he met with Diogenes on his travels, and he had a private meeting with them. And when he came out of the meeting, he said to his commander in charge, he said, had I not been Alexander the Great in this life, I would have liked to have been Diogenes. Whoa, okay. There you go, man.
Wow. And what a great way to end the knowledge round there. And Arash, what's exciting you today? What's really getting you out of bed in the morning?
I am trying to find an answer, a solution to when we die, our bodies die, if there's any way to be able to keep our knowledge and our communication with the people we love somehow. And that may sound a little crazy, but it's what gets me up in the morning, every morning. And it's what keeps me up at 2:30 a.m. researching. I don't know if there's an answer to it. My instinct tells me there is. I don't know if I'll find it, but that's what I'm doing. And everything else is secondary to it. Everything else is secondary. Like I said to you, if people knew my goals, it would seem a little bit out of this world, but I'm either doing it or I'm dead trying it. So I'm very curious, not out of just curiosity, out of a deep, burning desire inside me that I can't seem to quench. I've always had this interesting relationship with death ever since I was a child. It's something I think about 24 hours a day, and I feel like there's answers that haven't been given. They have answers for everything, but nobody can tell us what happens. So just to be very clear, because some people may misunderstand, I love life, and I 100% in any case do not condone suicide or killing ever. Okay, that has to be very clear. There's a lot of crazies in the world that listen to me sometimes, and I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? I get weird messages. So no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying from a survival perspective, when I'm dead and I leave behind my family and friends, I would like to have a little bit of control over that. So that's what gets me up in the morning, man.
What about just writing a book?
I can't write the damn book. People write it for me. There's a few books out with me in them. There's like 4 more coming. So I found a formula. Someone comes to me. I'm like, look, why don't you write the book? Put my teachings in it. Put my name on it too. Tell the world what you learned from it. Or take the pieces that moved you. I have so many videos and they grow every day. So just take the piece you like and put it out for the world. I'm not going to sit down and write it. It's just not going to happen for me. So, I'm open. I'm open to every single person that knows me can write a book with me. Just get it done, because too many people talk. So I personally won't sit down and write it. I'll give interview after interview after interview, blog after blog after blog, lecture after lecture, but I'm not going to sit down and write it.
All right, Arash, and go ahead and give yourself a plug so all the listeners can get in contact with you.
Honestly, the best way is just remember my name, Arash Dibazar. You look it up, you find it. If you were meant to find me, you will. If you can't find me in today's world of information, I'm very, very accessible. I'm very accessible, and my plan is to stay accessible. People are surprised that I actually answer them on my Facebook. Absolutely. But I will not tolerate disrespect. So approach me with respect, and you can talk to me for the rest of my life.
All right, Arash, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your time, sharing your lessons, your journey with my community here at Knowledge for Men.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I truly appreciate the opportunity.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap up episode 56 with Arash Dibazar. All right, and the challenge item that I have for you today is, in Arash's episode, we took a look at his life and his journey, and a big turning point and aha moment in his life was when he found his mentor that really showed him the way, and that really opened him up to a whole new world that he never thought, existed. So your challenge is to find a mentor. And I've had mentors in my life, and I can't tell you how much they've done for me in almost every aspect of my life. Whether you get a business mentor, a dating coach, a health coach, it's really going to give you life advice and life lessons that can apply to all areas of life. Get a mentor. And right now you're probably wondering, well, how do I get a mentor? It sounds like a good idea, but how do I do it, and how do you really structure that? Well, if there's somebody that you admire, if there's someone that you look up to, then reach out to them. Then simply just start asking them questions. Take them out to coffee, take them out to lunch, email them, and start the relationship then, and just start asking them questions. And when they give you solutions and they give you action items, go get that done. Be the type of mentee that takes action. Don't just, ask this person questions after questions, taking up his time and then not doing anything about it. That's even worse. You're stealing that person's time. He wants to know that the time that he spent with you, he's going to see some value out of that. And he wants to see you go off and take action and succeed. So you got to take action and then come back to him and say, hey, I did this. These are the results that I got. And these are my next questions. What do I do now? Or, hey, I did this and this is my challenge that I have now. What should I do? And he'll help you from there. And that's how I've developed mentor relationships. Just like that, by just asking for help from someone that I admired, taking action, and then coming back to them with the results. That's it. You just keep going from there. And when someone sees that you're taking action, they're investing in you, and they're going to be invested in your development going forward. So try that. And if you don't have anyone that you admire, not sure who to really reach out to, then I suggest you start changing your environment. You're not in the right environment if you don't have someone that you look up to. You're doing the same thing over and over and over again. You need to step outside of your comfort zone, join some new organizations, get on meetup.com, check out some different meetup groups in your area. You got to immerse yourself in new environments so that you can meet new people that you admire. All right? So that's the challenge item. Get a mentor. I want to hear about your story. I want to hear about this journey that you're about to embark on for the brave few of you who will do this. So you can email me at andrew@knowledgeformen.com, and I'd like to see how I can help you with that and getting a mentor. And all right, until next time, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Knowledge for Men podcast show. It's been a pleasure having you be a part of a thriving community of men who want to crush it in all aspects of life. I'm on a mission here to inspire millions of guys, and with your help, we're going to make a dent in the universe. Check out knowledgeformen.com for a ton of free content that's designed to help you live a remarkable life. Again, that's knowledgeformen.com. I hope to see you there. And always remember, 2014 is the official year of the crush, where we take action to get the life we've always dreamed of. This is your host, Andrew Farabee, and until next time, let's do it.